Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of April. I hope you are well. We're using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. Now, if you haven't seen these videos before, what I do for the mid-months is a look for the lesson, right? So what we do is we pull 3 cards for your current energy, and then we pull another 3 cards to see what that energy is trying to show you. Now, sometimes it's trying to teach you a lesson about something, right? And sometimes it's just laying a new foundation, right? And just clearing out some old stuff, bringing some new stuff in. I started kind of looking at things this way a few years ago when things were very, very challenging, and I found that it was quite useful to be able to detach and see what the energy was trying to teach me. And it stopped me feeling quite so victimized, I guess. And that's useful when things feel like they're very, very hard. So that's what I do. Like I said, it doesn't need to be a big life hard lesson thing. But sometimes life can be very confusing, right? Shit can just be baffling. And so, to that end, right, that's what we're looking for. And we'll close out with 3 cards of advice. So, what's the other thing that I have to tell you? Oh yeah, the 6-month overview that I did for each of the signs at the beginning of the year. Now, we are now more than halfway through that period, so accordingly I have knocked down the prices, and then they're a couple of quid now, like 2 or 3 quid, something like that. So, and they're quite long. They're between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours long, so depending on which sign you are. So if you're interested in that, the link's in the description box. And let's get on with this. When I was doing the meditation for your sign, Gemini, I just kept seeing arrows. Like arrows everywhere. And what was being shown to me is that you are being guided quite strongly at the moment. And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but it's almost like every time you take a step, like the next arrow appears and it's showing you which way you need to go. To that end, whatever you are experiencing, and I have no idea yet because I haven't started pulling any cards at the moment, know that it's taking you somewhere. Even if you can't see where the destination is at the moment, you are being led to something. And it might be that you find yourself, having things coming up that need dealing with, internally, and it's kind of like, and it doesn't actually appear to be connected to anything at the moment, but it surely is. I can absolutely assure you it surely is. So I've got the tower at the bottom of the deck, interestingly there. So stick with it, right, is the thing that I would say about that. Right, let's pull some cards and see where you are. 2 cards for Gemini, please. Oh, shit. So we have the 7 of Wands and the Devil flew out together there, which I think is quite interesting. We've got the 2 of Wands and the 4 of Cups together. That's the doubling up for you today, Gemini. One more card for Gemini, please. Thank you. Wow. And then we've got the 6 of Pentacles. We've got the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. That's Virgo energy. But it talks about going within. It talks about knowing that the answers are within, right? And this feeds beautifully into what I was feeling for the meditation for you. In fact, all of these do here. I can see quite clearly how they're coming together already. Well, let's start here, right? Because what we've got there is the 7 of Wands and the Devil. It feels to me like you've been wrestling with something. And maybe it's one big thing, and maybe it's a series of small things. I can't quite tell at this point, but there's been some kind of wrestling going on with something, and it does feel hugely internal. It could be that it's something to do with your past, or it could be that a current event here has triggered off some sort of memory of the past, or brought to the surface some sort of old wound that you haven't yet dealt with. Whatever it is, it's very deeply connected to fears that you have about something, and maybe they're fears for the future, that's possible. And then you're kind of tracking it back and going, well, when did I get so scared of X, Y, Z, you know what I mean? But there are times in the past where you would have got very defensive over these fears, rather than sort of turning and facing them head on. And the wisdom and experience that you've accrued so far has now got you to a point where actually there's a very active internal examination going on, right? I notice that the card after that is the King of Wands. So although it's a very active internal exploration, it is with a view to changing something about the way that you show up in the world, right? The King of Wands is the card of Leo, and it is the card of, you know, visible people, right? Maybe, for some of you, there's a fear of being seen. Like you quite like kind of working along, you know, squirreling away in the background, but actually when it comes to really putting yourself out there, that's something that you really struggle with, something that you are in fact wrestling with, you know. It has its seat in fear somewhere. And it seems to me that you are kind of acknowledging that now and looking at it and trying to work out where that came from, right? That's a very useful thing indeed. And we've got the Two of Wands and the Four of Cups, which feed in beautifully. Now, the Two of Wands is a crossroads energy. When I said these arrows felt like you were being guided to somewhere, right? You are taking the steps. You are bringing yourself to the crossroads. This is not like Lover's energy where, you know, in the major arcana, you get these big energies that are kind of like throwing things at you, big curveballs of life. And you need to make big life-changing decisions about things, sort of almost ad hoc. This is very slow, kind of measured progression, but taking steps towards this, right? Whether you realise you're coming to a crossroads or not, your feet are taking you there, right? Maybe your head is down and you're just looking at the arrows at this point. And when you get to this point, you look up and suddenly you've got a direction that you need to take. Now, the fact that it's come up here with the Four of Cups is interesting because it ties in very closely with the Devil and the Seven of Wands energy that I'm feeling for you. And it's like there is somewhere nestled within you this fear of rejection, and this could take this could take many forms, you know. Excuse me. And often when we see someone who has issues with being seen, it is because at some point when they were more visible, and usually this sort of goes back to childhood when, you know, kids are completely oblivious to the idea that they shouldn't be seen, that somebody came in and went like, you're showing off, you're making too much noise, you're doing X, Y, and Z, right? And then as a child you internalize that, and then all of a sudden being seen is equated with some sort of threat to you, right? Rejection. We've got that going on here. Now, the fact that you are bringing yourself to this crossroads, it all feels very connected to me, because it seems like in the coming weeks and from, say, probably from May onwards, there is going to be either a need for you to be seen or it's just going to happen. And so I don't want to get too much into the lesson now, but it seems like very much, what the fuck? It's not even fucking bin day. Why are the bin lorries here? You're being asked to deal with this now, before this actually even arises, right? So that you don't hesitate when it comes time to be seen, right? Getting yourself very balanced about the notion of what it is to be seen and what that means for you, what that does to you internally, because I think for some of you it like pure shits you up, right? To use a northern phrase there, it really makes you afraid. But the fact is, Gemini, you have something to give, right? There's a reason why you've been set on this path. And like I said, you may not be able to see the destination yet. And I do feel like we're looking at the other side of this bridge here. But in terms of being able to help people in the way that you want to, which is interesting. Hello. Okay. You want to help people. You're going to need to be seen in order for that to happen, right? So whilst it may feel that you kind of, I don't know, it really does feel like you're kind of wading through mud a little bit here, and you feel like you're not making any progress. Actually you are, and the extent of it won't become clear until you're on the other side of this process, and whatever it is that requires you to be seen then arises, right? So let's pull some cards for the lesson, although I think I can see what the lesson is. Tell me about the lesson for Gemini, please. Well, we have the sun. Was I saying about, you know, Leo and visibility? There's a second card of Leo. Tell me one thing that, you know, you can literally see it from anywhere on the planet. Granted, not 24 hours a day, but you can see it. It's the most visible thing in the world. It's asking you, oh, there's King of Wands at the bottom of the deck again. It is asking you to get really, really comfortable with this as a conscious process more than anything else, right? It's kind of working with the subconscious bit so that when it hits, you can be conscious and you can be present and you can go, yes, okay, I accept this moving forwards. Another lesson for Gemini, please. We've got the Queen of Wands and the High Priestess, and I noticed that the Four of Wands has popped out here too. Like, if any of you are involved in the intuitive arts, and I've done enough readings for Geminis to know that a huge proportion of you are actually overwhelming. Some of you doing it as a job, like employment for some of you, but others of you, you know, just kind of exploring your own spirituality. Like, whew. It's going to kick up a notch, Gemini, from where you are now, right? It definitely more synchronicities, more intuitive downloads, that kind of thing. But you're not getting away from the fact that you need to be seen, right? We've got the Queen of Wands now showing up with the sun. The sun, the most visible celestial object in the sky, right? And also Leo. So, you know, we associate that with a certain element of performance, a certain element of theatre, but certainly an element of being seen, right? And then we have the Queen of Wands, who is, you know, the court hierarchy card of being seen here. She is confident. She's got high self-esteem. She knows exactly what it is that she's doing. And when it comes down to it, Gemini, you know exactly what it is that you are doing. And the only thing that's stopping you from stepping fully into this role is this fear of rejection, is, you know, whatever it is that you are wrestling with here at the moment. But with this High Priestess, I mean, it's Pisces energy, but it's all around you. We've got the Four of Wands here, which is foundational energy, right? And it's like building a house, right? Okay, you want to build a house, and it's never going to go as fast as you would like, because actually what we want is, you know, for the walls and everything to be thrown up in a day, and then, you know, we can actually walk around the rooms and see how things are going to be, you know, imagine how things are going to be. But the boring groundwork needs to happen first, right? You've got to dig the foundations, and for weeks it'll look like there's nothing fucking happening, because it's just building up from the subterranean, from the subconscious upwards, right? But all of a sudden, when the foundations are built, there it goes. And what is being built is stable. Now you are creating a new foundation for yourself, and this is critically important for what goes next. We've got more wand energy here. But because everything's going to kick up a notch, it's really important that you deal with the foundations now, Gemini. Like, you cannot get away from this. This is huge. Yeah, and like I said, a huge part of that is accepting that you will be seen. And because you've got this knowledge, right? It's not just about the knowledge that's going to come in, and there will be more of it, and there will be synchronicities that you notice, and you're going to be like, holy shit, you know. I remember putting up a meme on my Instagram once. It was just a cat looking really, really startled, and it's like, you know, when you're out with friends and the synchronicities won't stop hitting, but you know, well, I'm sure it says your friends are muggles or something like that, so you can't say anything, you just look like this, you know. It's that kind of energy that you've got going on here. Like, you are so wise, you are so intuitive, you take all of this stuff in, you know, but it's gonna get bigger. And there's something that you've got to do here, Gemini, and I'm not sure what it is, but other people need to see you doing this. It's you kind of stepping into a role that has been fashioned for you, that you're not even aware exists yet, you know. So maybe you're setting up a YouTube channel, something like that. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you're going to start teaching classes, you know. Maybe somebody's going to give you a call and say, oh, hey, like, I heard that you kind of into this sort of stuff. Do you fancy coming around and showing other people how to do it, you know? And you're kind of like, oof, I don't feel like an expert in anything. And maybe maybe you're not, like, maybe. But that's the thing about being an expert. I think if you get to the point where you feel like you're an expert, then you've probably got some more work to do. In my experience, the more you learn about something, all it really does is show you how little that you know, and it's like you're always moving your own goalposts, you know. You don't realise quite how expert you have become in these things, because you're kind of chasing a goal that's off over there now. But compared to other people, it's like, you know, it could be something like, oh, yeah, can you lead a meditation for a group, you know? So there's all sorts of ways in which this can come about. But get comfortable with being seen, Gemini, because that will make what comes next easier to bear, right? That's the lesson of the energy here, and it's building foundations for something new, something that's quite glorious for you, it seems. Let's have a look and see. Let's get some advice. Fucking hell. All right. Okay. We've got the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. Another card that is given to talk about wisdom and enlightenment, but it also talks about submitting to something. So, you know, if you're wrestling with something at the moment, just fucking submit to it, right? Don't submit and then go, right, why the fuck are you here? Like, why do I have an issue with being seen? Why am I so afraid of being rejected? Why? Let's just sort all of this out, right? Look at stuff from a different perspective. Like I said, you probably don't feel like an expert in anything, but you actually are, you know. Try and see yourself how other people see you. Cards of advice are the Ace of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and the Ten of Pentacles. This is incredible, right? The Ace of Wands is all about that reinvigoration of something, right? It's new creativity. It is new passion. There are new things coming in for you. We've already established that. And I want you to be able to grab them with both hands, right? Beware of missing opportunities, because that's where you're going if you don't deal with this being seen thing, right? You are going to miss opportunities that are going to come and land in your lap, except they're not landing in your lap. You're being guided towards them, right? The Knight of Wands, it's about that being able to be spontaneous, right? If an opportunity comes towards you and you're like, oh shit, I need to be seen, I'm not comfortable with any aspect of this, but I need to be, because this is really important for my career, or this will be important for my visibility, you know, whatever it is. If you've got to take, you know, a few days out to be able to get your head around it, you're not engaging with that opportunity as it presents, and that is what is being asked of you, right? So bear this in mind. The more groundwork that you do now, the more you get on top of this now, the easier it's going to be for you to just jump on this opportunity when it presents. And we've got the Ten of Pentacles, right? I said you were laying a new foundation. Well, you're building something here, you know, you're building a legacy, whether you realize it or not. And maybe you don't practice any kind of, you know, spiritual modalities. I think most of you do, to be fair. Maybe it's about the way that you interact with your children. Maybe it's about the way that you keep your home, you know, like the magic presents in all forms. And, you know, only gatekeepers will tell you that it's got to be done one way over another, right? Everything can have magic within it if that's the intent that you set. So, you know, like cooking food, decorating your house, you know, all of these things are small acts of magic. It can be big acts of magic, but you are in the process of creating something that not only will set you up quite well in future, but gives to others too, right? Not necessarily in terms of, you know, clientele or stuff like that. There's a broader community, a broader collective benefit to what it is that you're doing, but it starts with you first, you digging the foundations, you doing all of this thing, and then you being able to bring this to the collective. This is astonishing. I love this for you, Gemini. This is absolutely wonderful. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.